Hi everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to navigate the workspace here in Lightroom. And all that means is I'm going to show you where stuff is and how you can change the view of your screen and basically use Lightroom more easily and effectively. So let's go ahead and start with the left side of the screen. Now you have File, Edit, Photo, View, and Help at the top, which are all very useful drop-down menus. But everything in these menus can also be found within the workspace itself, so I'm going to skip it, but feel free to use it. This button here, very important. This whole Photos section here on the left can be removed or added back in at any time. So let's say that maybe you were editing a photo and wanted to have a lot more space to look at it, or even to look at an album like you're seeing here on the screen. You can take that panel away temporarily and bring it back whenever you need it. Next to that are back and forth arrows. Just like in an internet browser, you can navigate back and forth through different albums and folders and all that good stuff as you work. Now below that we have a Learn and Discover tab. This is where Adobe people as well as Adobe users have uploaded tutorials. In Discover you can find that users have uploaded their own photographs that show you before and afters of how they edited, and you can even save their edits, which is really cool. You can learn more about that in How to Edit tutorial in Teams. So feel free to check those out. Below that we have All Photos. This is where all of your photos get stored in Lightroom, if they're not in, even whether they're in an album or not, I should say. You can also look through recently added, recent edits. You can organize them by date, by people, and even look at deleted images and recover them if necessary. We also have at the very bottom albums. This one is specifically important for us because for every project that you do, you will create an album for it so that we stay nice and organized with all the images that you take. So right now you're seeing that I have 4 different folders. This little plus sign will let you create folders and albums here in Lightroom. Now within these albums, so for example, Best of Digital Photo, if I drop that folder down, I can see all of the individual albums for all the different projects my students have done in the past, and within them how many photos there are. Let's go ahead and click on an album so that I can show you different album views here in the main workspace. So let's go ahead and remove the Photos panel and focus our attention to the bottom left of the screen. So right now we're using the photo grid format, which is one of my favorites when looking at albums. It just displays them really nicely, and you can actually change the size here on the bottom right hand side of the grid space. So if you had a lot of pictures and want to make them smaller, you can view them at much bigger, but they just keep them really organized and nice looking. You also have this option here, which is a square grid. So photo grid will kind of space these out differently per every row, whereas the square grid keeps everything kind of aligned in very specific rows and columns. You can also see the ratings of images this way too. So if that's something you were trying to search for, feel free to learn more about how to rate images in a video tutorial in Teams. You also have the compare option, which basically means you can compare 2 images side by side. So right now I have this film strip view on, which is this option here. And I'm looking at this picture, or maybe I want to compare it to another picture. I would just select it from the film strip and I can view those side by side. I could swap them, or I can even view them horizontally instead of vertically side by side. You can also turn parallel zoom on and off. Got it. Thank you, Lightroom. The next view is detail, which is just to show one image. Again, really great. You can zoom in and out. There's an option down here for different percentages. And I personally like to use fit because then it will fit the screen. If the film strip is in the way, you can actually click on the hide film strip option. That way you can just see your image. The next to that is to show the original image versus the edited. Now right now, because this is a student's edited version, it's not going to show me the original, but if I'm in the editing panel, which here is our toolbar here on the right, editing panel is at the top, To know more about editing, go ahead and watch the tutorial for how to edit. But if I made any sort of edit to the image, I could use this button down here to show original and then to show my edit. Let me go ahead and reset that. All right, so on the toolbar is your edit panel, your crop and rotate panel, healing and clone, as well as masking. You also have multiple options under the dot, which is to copy and paste settings, show original, a couple other options in there as well. All right, now near the bottom of the toolbar, specifically the I or info button at the bottom is also a really useful resource. This can show you all the information about what camera was used to take the photo, what lens it has, the aperture or f-stop, the ISO, millimeter of the lens, like I said again, shutter speed, and again there's the aperture and f-stop. You can also see the dimensions of the image and how big a size it is and what file type it is. So this gives you a lot of great information, and you can also see the file name of that image, when it was captured. So that really this just gives you all kinds of detailed information about the image itself. All right, now at the very top right, we have a couple different things. So the cloud is just showing you what's been synced and backed up, how much you have left of your cloud storage. That's just a help button. I'm going to skip that. This is a share button, so you can use this to do a couple things, exporting, sharing a link, although I wouldn't always advise sharing a link this way. In order to learn how to share a web link, I would watch the tutorial for that. And then the last one is basically an undo button. So whereas this is back and forth like a web browser, this would be to undo maybe any edits you've made that you didn't want to make. And then lastly, a search bar. You have an option to search images throughout an album. You can search by name if you know the file name, by camera settings, metadata. You can also search by ratings if you have your images rated. And you also have a filter option here where you can search in different ways as well. At the bottom is where you can rate your images, which is just an easy way to look through specific stars. So let's say I want to look through all my 5-star images in this album. That just means these are my best images that I've rated myself, and then I can look through the album in that specific way. To learn more about rating your images, watch the video tutorial for that. Otherwise, that is how you navigate the Lightroom workspace.